What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? Let me know if you all can hear me. I am presenting what we're going to work on in class today, which, as promised, we were going to add hoodies to the Mega Mockup bundle. And in addition to mocking up the hoodie, we're actually going to prepare this as if you're going to print this with your 13 by 19 printer, and some ways in which you'll be able to incorporate the exact same file we did for 151. We're going to mock it up for the hoodie and also talk about some ways that we can create variations of a hoodie design with the same elements, okay? So let me just check on you all, make sure you can hear me. All right. All right, so I'm going to be very direct with this one because just like the last class, the purpose was not really to design the template, it was to understand how to design a mock-up. But I try to keep y'all interested with the design element so that you stay with me, you don't go to sleep when it comes to the stuff like layer masks and mocking up and all of that good stuff. So same thing here. We're going to take the class from last class, and if you did not do 150 with us and you're taking 151 with us, then you'll still have this 150 file. You're just not going to be able to change it in time for class. So unless you just happen to do 150 and you took 150 and you have it done and ready for 151, that will be perfectly fine. We start class at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I'll have this class uploaded very shortly. All right, so basically, I'm going to do a quick change up after I do everything here, just to show you how the mock-up changes based on everything. But what we're going to do in class, we're going to pretend like this is the last design that you had for 151, right? Of course, it looked a little something like this. And what I'm going to show you is some stuff that you might be afraid of, but I want you to no longer be afraid of. We're going to tackle some of those fears. We are going to create a couple of custom layer masks and use those for a purpose, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is turn off everything except for our art folder. So we're going to actually turn all of this off right now. Even the swatches, we're going to turn the color swatches off because the objective of this one is not to change the design. I will show you a change up of a design just to kind of get your mind going. But I want you to understand that that's not what we're doing in class today, okay? So when we receive this file, we're going to open up our art folder. You'll see that I have a foreground and a background, okay? Now, remember last time I told you this is very important for any of your Innate Lab files or your Innate Academy files. Once you get to understanding that you have a foreground and a background, you can manipulate these designs to work with almost any substrate, any size, any orientation, and you just get it, okay? So last week we did a journal. And of course, we had to modify some of these elements to work with our journal. This time we're going to do that for the hoodie, okay? All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to have you all in class. Of course, we're going to do this much slower, and we're going to take our time, make sure everyone's together. We're going to go ahead and select this smart color mask here. As a matter of fact, we're going to, the one that says smart color here, we're going to just duplicate this. Let us duplicate the layer. And although it's a smart color, that doesn't really matter to us. I'm going to right click on the smart color and rasterize it. Right click on the layer mask and apply it. And now you just see just a regular old glob of image there. And really it's just a solid color right now. And this is just so that we stay aware of what we're doing. So I'm going to take this, since it's our copy, I didn't do anything to our original, and I'm going to bring it to the front, and I'm going to make it 100% opacity, and let's make it a weird color right now. Or no, let's leave it this color. Whatever color you had here is fine, because the color doesn't matter, and I don't want y'all to get caught up in that. All right, let's take all of this right here, and I'm just going to do Control X to cut and Control V to paste. Then we don't have any of that little extra stuff. So now you can see you can make a layer mask from something that you already have. If you see something that kind of looks grungy and you like the edges of it, we just made, first of all, we made more like a stamp, like a brush does, okay? And this was actually created using several different brushes. And I have a few videos on creating a mask. We even did a class creating our own mask at least once or twice. All right, so this is not a mask yet. This is just, it's just a PNG. It's just an image with a transparent background right now, okay? But what I want you to understand is that we're going to turn these into layer masks. So let's choose a solid color. That is not what I meant to do. I want to come down here and grab a solid color, and let's make it something funky that's not in our design. So we'll know that that color is odd and off. And we're going to make 1, 2, 3 different colors. Just, they don't have to match. These are just going to be kind of placekeepers for you. So there's one. We'll make another one. And then we'll make one more. Let's go green. Okay. Now we're going to delete these layer masks because we are going to create our own. And this is where you're not going to be afraid of layer masks anymore. Now what we're going to use this for is more of a placekeeper. So this does not have to be on. In fact, I prefer you turn it off. So we're going to turn this off. Kind of move this down a little bit so we make sure we get all of the information that we're going to select right now. If I hold down Control and I select this thumbnail, whether it's visible or not, it's going to select the active pixels right here, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a layer mask. And because I have active pixels selected, when I come to my color field 3, I'm just going to straight up hit my layer mask. And see how it masked off just this green? And I didn't delete anything, it just masked it, meaning that where it's black it conceals and where it's white it reveals. Now I'm going to turn off my green and now I'm going to focus on the red. Same thing here. I'm going to turn on the little PNG here for right now, and then I'm going to move it over this time because now I want to get a different section. So I'm going to come over here. So I'll call that one left and this one will be right. Maybe even come up here a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to Control select here, getting those active pixels. I'm going to turn it off now. And then I'm going to add a layer mask, and it automatically chooses the pixels that I had selected with the marching ants. Now for this one down here, we're going to do something a little bit different. I want to do the bottom, but I want to make sure that I have the aspect ratio that I would naturally have if I were to print this at the bottom. So I'm going to, again, Control click here. And then I'm going to come to, oh, you know what? Let's do this before I do that. Let's turn it back on. And I just want to move it to where I know I'm not overlapping too much. I want some new data, some new information. So I'm going to go here now. I'm going to do Control T. I'm going to turn this thing 90 degrees. And I could either hold down Shift and turn it. It locks it in 90 degrees. Or I could have come up here to the top and typed in -90 and it would have rotated it the same way. All right, I'm going to hit enter to lock in that transformation. Now here I'm going to unlock, and this is something that we need to get used to too. A lot of times we're just, willy-nilly stretching out images and resizing stuff, but there's a purpose. When you want to lock your aspect ratio, that means you don't want things to look all stretched out and, super distorted and that sort of thing. So you maintain the aspect ratio. Here, I want to break that aspect ratio. So I'm going to turn it off so that I can stretch it disproportionately. So the width, I want this width to be 23 inches because I want it to go all the way across the bottom of the hoodie. So that's usually the bottom of the hoodie is anywhere from, I'll say 23 to about 28 inches wide, depending on if you're doing like a 3X. Of course, if you're doing bigger than a 3x, it can be even wider. You just have to take your measurements, okay? The reason why I'm doing 23, let's see, we could do a little wider. I think we could do a little wider because if we do 19 and 19 and an overlap, that gives me about, I could go up to 36 inches wide. I'm just trying to basically save ink. So measure the bottom of your hoodie. And in this case, the bottom of my hoodie was 20, I believe it's 24. So I was doing 23, but I could absolutely do, 24, 25, 26, 27. In this case, we're doing 23, okay? Because we're going to pretend like we're doing the same hoodie. 23, and then the height, I'm going to choose 12. Oh, you know what? Because I rotated it, it's got it transversed. So the width will be 12, and then the height will be 23. Okay. Then we'll hit enter. Now we've got a 23 by 12. I'm going to pull it down here. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have anything hanging off of my artboard. All right, now I'm going to hit enter to lock in my transformation. I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to grab these pixels from the thumbnail again, turn that off, and this time I'm going to add this layer mask to the cyan layer. Now, if you kind of take a look at what I did here, I'm just grabbing some image, I'm grabbing some information, I'm grabbing some color from here because we're going to do this kind of abstract style. And then I will also show you how you would do this, where you would precisely, and I mean precisely, be printing and cutting without the layer mask. You're just going to be printing sheets, and then you would manually cut as neat as you can to have the curves that are like in the shoulders or the sleeves or the bodice. That sort of thing. It takes a lot more time and energy to do that. So the first way that I show you is going to be the, hey, this is how you can make it look like it's an all over-ish hoodie, okay? All right, so I have 3 locations here. I have my left, my right, and my bottom. Now, I'm just using these colors as placeholders. We are not going to print those colors, of course. But what these placeholders allow me to do is it holds onto my layer mask until I get ready to produce it somewhere. So right now, I'm going to turn off my foreground, and I just want to see my background right now, okay? And I'm going to show you why in just a moment. So if I want to grab this left little section, right, I'm going to take my layer mask, drag it up to my art folder, and boom, it masked everything to that little layer mask that I once had on green. So that was my left. So I'm going to right click on the word art. I'm going to quick export as PNG. And instead of art, now I'm going to call this art-left. Oh, you know what? I need to do my color change real quick because you all won't get this unless, I'm going to bring this back down. You won't get this unless you see the whole color change. So let's go ahead. I'll change the color real quick. It won't take me long. Trust me, this is a 5-minute template at the worst. Okay, so I'm changing it to my little CMYK colors so you'll see the difference. And this is a smart color template, so when you change the main colors, it will change the colors everywhere. So like I said, I'm going to make this a bold CMYK kind of look. And then next week, what we'll do is we're going to start applying what we learn in class. That way, you all can show me what you're really working with, what you're really learning in class, and we'll do a live demonstration of how we actually produce these. You know, I'm usually into the digital stuff, but since I have some apprentices at the shop helping me out and wanting to learn and eager to do some of this stuff as well, it poses an opportunity to do some real live demonstrations. All right, and then for this last one, I'll change it to black instead of the gray. And we'll say yes to update here. And then instead of the flower pattern for the background, I'm going to do the Innate Academy pattern. There we go. And I'm going to let it stay kind of gray in the background there. Yeah, I think I like that neutral background. Okay, so remember when I was telling you there's a reason in the season for separating your foreground and background, especially when you plan on printing tumblers, pillows, baby shirts versus adult shirts. They all have different orientations. So rather than trying to bring all of your Photoshop layers into each of those templates, what I'm teaching and encouraging you all to do is start organizing when you're done with your main art file. Just make a foreground and a background folder, and then we export those individual folders as a single flattened PNG. This makes your life so much easier and the file so much smaller. Okay, so like I said, let's go ahead now that we have a design change here. And for the foreground, I am going to change the foreground just a little bit. Let's do a color overlay here so the logo is black now. And just like we did before in class, we're going to right click. We're going to quick export the PNG of the foreground here. And I'm going to call this 151 foreground so we'll know the difference. Okay, so that's my foreground, right? The foreground is this layer mask here plus the logo. I'm also going to right click and export just the logo. And I'm going to put a 151 in front of it so I know it's different. And this should be saved into my 151 folder. So we have our logo, we have our foreground. I'm going to turn that off now. And then the background in general, I'm going to right click and go to quick export as PNG. Save it in my 151 folder. Now we're going to do all this in class, so don't worry if you feel a little lost right now. I'm just demonstrating what we're doing in class today. All right, so it should go on 151. It's going to be called 151-background. And I'm just going to take a sneak peek here and make sure I have everything. So we have the background, the logo, the foreground, and then the entire art. Let's go ahead and do that. The entire art is going to be basically just the foreground plus the background. Okay, so if I do that, I'm going to right click, quick export as PNG. And this one's going to be called art, but I'm going to put 151 in front of it. So let's do 151-art. And then there's one more thing we're missing. We need the 13:19 version. And I'm going to show you how we're going to change this mockup. So 151. Now we need the background to have a layer mask on it. And then this is going to become our 13:19 art. So right click, quick export. This is a PNG. And then I'm going to call this 151-art, but this isn't our full color or our all over art. This one is 13:19. So I'm going to put 13x19 at the end to remind me of that. All right, so now I'm going to turn off the foreground, right click, we're going to disable the layer mask. Now you all should have all of those elements saved from 150 class, but the reason why we're going to do it again in 151 is because I want you to understand now, because we're going to connect the dots. You're going to understand now why you separate your foreground from your background and how significant that is when you're designing different things, be it a mug, a baby bottle, a hoodie, a beanie cap, any of those things, mask, anything you can think of, the gaiters, they all have different orientations and blank templates, right? So the idea that I'm getting you used to is once you get your whole look together, you can cross-sell and upsell several different types of items with the same design work that you already put in. why not try to get them to buy an additional 2 or 3 items because they coordinate with something that you already put the work in for? Okay, so I'm showing you the easiest way to do that, the way that I do it, to kind of show coordinating products or mock up coordinating products. That's what we're doing. All right, so the last thing that I want to do, oh, we're going to go back to the steps. And so that's what we did in 150 already, but we're going to redo it tonight just so that you have those steps fresh. I don't expect you to remember them, or if we have new folks coming in, I want to make sure that you start off on a fresh slate. So let's go ahead and do what I was talking about earlier. Remember, we made those layer masks. I can take this particular layer mask, just the layer mask itself, and drag it to my art folder. And now I'm just getting this little thing here, this little section right here. Now, just like before where I was exporting this particular folder as a quick PNG, quick export as a PNG. And now I'm going to call this art dash, I'll call this one the left, L-E-F-T, if I can spell today. And then I'm going to bring this layer mask back down to the green layer. Then I will take the red one, drag it up, and you see it's in the same place. All it's doing is just keeping it as a placeholder for me. All right, so now I'm going to right click on the word art, quick export as a PNG, and I'm going to do this one as my art dash right, R-I-G-H-T. And I'll capitalize that. And then when I'm done with it, I'm going to drag it back down to that layer. And then finally, I'm going to take the one that we elongated. Then I can place that on the art folder. And this is a perfect example how layer masks are non-destructive. Layer masks do not delete pixels. They don't mess anything up. They're just little windows, okay? It's literally a window that's being created by black and white. So black is going to conceal, white's going to reveal. All right, so we're going to right click again on the word art, and we're going to quick export as PNG. Now this time I'm going to put art dash bottom. And go ahead and save that one. Now there are two different things that we're really going to do here. One is we're going to mock up, and then the other thing that I'm going to show you is after you mock it up and you really understand how you want this to present, then I'm going to teach you how you want to print that. If you have a 13-inch printer or 13 or if you have an 8.5-inch printer, you're going to do some extra work. But essentially what you're doing is you're using whatever you have to make sure that you can produce an all-over-ish look. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this. I'm going to leave it open just in case I need to grab anything else out of this. Nope, you know what? I'm going to close it and I'm going to save it as 151 just in case, because I did some extra changes. And then, like I said, y'all aren't going to get 151 yet, because the whole point is that I want you to take 150 and turn it into 151. The only thing that I did different is created these layer masks, and we're going to do that in class today. You all ask me how I do it. I'm finally going to not only show you, because I've shown you several times, but this is the main thing that we're learning tonight, okay? You creating your layer mask, or utilizing this layer mask and understanding how we can best make use of it to kind of give us an artistic and abstract look. Okay, so I think we're done with this. I'll go ahead and turn my foreground back on, and I'll turn this layer off, And now it looks like it originally did, just different colors. So I'll save that. And we'll come over here and get ready. So as I was explaining to you, I'm just going to go ahead and update everything here, because what we did is we have our 13 by 19. We're just going to double click there, find our 151 folder, and find my 13 by 19 version. Hold on just a moment. There it is. We'll drag and drop it right into place. I'll hit enter to lock in my transformation there. And this file is getting kind of large, so I'm going to reduce it down. Say yes to save those changes. It's going to update that smart object. So it just updated the 13 by 19. Now I'm going to double click and change my main art. So I'm going to go to my 151-art that had the foreground and the background in it. Oh yeah, it mistakenly saved in 150, so let me move it. Got too many. Hold on, I think I gotta expand this so I can see all the files here. And I don't know where I saved it, so let me go ahead and resave it again. Let me turn this off. Turn off my color swatches. I guess it's an opportunity to learn how to resave this. So I'm going to my art folder, right click, quick export as PNG. Now watch it be in this folder or it pops up in this other folder. Story of my life. Look, it's right there. How come the 151 art PNG is right there? So obviously I missed it. Let me do file place. It does the same thing as dragging and dropping. Let's do place embedded. And apparently I wasn't seeing it. There it is right there the whole time. And see, it's just slightly different. Colors are different. It has a little different pattern there, but it should update and show us the true magic. So I updated all of those items. And then we need to update the logo. Well, let's go ahead and update the background here. (151) background, we'll drag and drop. Go ahead and save this change so it will update on the template. Oh, this one. Let me make my background. What did I use background for? I can't recall, but because it's a PNG, and you're going to run into this, if I replace this layer, I have to delete the previous layer in order to officially save it. So I'm just going to do what I have to do to save this, which is delete this layer below. And now when I close out of it, it automatically saves. Y'all don't see these little pop-ups coming down here. But before, because it had two layers, it would not save that one because it's a PNG and not a PSB, which is a smart object that can remember that it has layers. Yes, actually, I have used Affinity quite extensively, and the reason how I can even function in Affinity is because I know Photoshop. It's very similar, and I at least know what functions to look up and how to ask. You know, if I really didn't know how to do something, I know what to call it. So My best advice, because I used to try to teach Affinity and Photoshop, is to go ahead and learn Photoshop. Get very familiar with it. And if you still really want to use Affinity, you'll have all the tools that you need to use Affinity. But that way I'm not splitting up my time and efforts, and I can really give you all great focus and great attention to what we're doing here. All right. Okay, that's what the background changed. I was gonna say, I knew I had the background in here for a reason. All right, same thing. So for the logo, we're going to go ahead and change the logo out, because there are some places I use the logo just by itself, like on the hoodie, and some places where we just change the foreground out. Like for instance on the socks right there, that's the foreground. So let's change out the logo, as we already exported it as a PNG. There's my logo. So remember, it's going to go from the gold to the black. And in order for me to save this, because it's a PNG, I have to get rid of this. And the reason why I made it to where you have to do this is because now that we're adding all of these substrates, this mockup file is huge. And the more you allow yourself to save all of those multiple layers for each item, it's going to add up, okay? So for these new ones here, they're just PNGs. They're not PSBs or Photoshop smart objects. All right, so let's go ahead, delete the one before. And this one is a PSB because this is the one we did from 150, so it's still a PSB. So the foreground, remember we saved our foreground. Or did we save our foreground? Maybe that's the one that went to 150. No, I don't know where the foreground went. Well, let's save the foreground so you see the difference. So for this one, if I want to export just the foreground, and I don't have to close any windows to only export the foreground. I can right click on the foreground folder even with the background showing, and it's only going to export what's in this folder. So I'm right clicking, I'm going to call this 151 foreground. Okay, so this one I did not save. I knew it was one of them I missed. 151 dash foreground. All right, and then that way we can replace $151 foreground. We're going to replace the 150 foreground. And because this is a PSB, technically I can leave this one here. I don't want you to do that. I want you to get rid of the layers from before, but I'm keeping this one in here so I can revert it back and save the PNG. All right. So I'm still leaving this one open just in case I need anything. All right, so now we understand there are some other things to change, and I'm going to actually pull it out of this hoodie, because what it is, we have the hoodie bottom down here, or I call it the art bottom. So we're going to bring a version of that to our little master level, turn it off. I also have an art right. Remember, we have a right and a left. So I'm just going to grab the art right and the art left. And I'm alt clicking and dragging because I'm creating alternate versions of this smart object because they're basically one and the same thing. And then I just turn the eyeballs off so that you don't see them, but they're there. So I'm going to name this one art right, this one art left, the one above it is art bottom. So now we double click on art bottom, and remember we already created our art bottom. 151 art bottom. There we go. Hit enter to lock in the transformation there. Oh, like I said, this one's a PNG, so I have to delete the layer below it. All right, and see the bottom change down there. And I need to also change the right. So I'm double clicking on the smart object, the thumbnail. Now this one is right, so I'm looking for art right. Drag and drop. Hit enter to lock in my transformation. I have to delete the layer below it. All right, and you see my right changed, and this is just basically a second printout of the right. And I'm going to show you in class. We're going to play with this. We're going to pretend like we have 13 by 19 sheets of paper, and we're going to get creative with where we place these. I just placed these by eye where I thought they would look cool. You're going to get a chance to see and to show where you think it looks cool. And I did not intend to open that up. I want to just mess with the master file here. So that is art left. Let's grab that one, switch it out. Hit enter, lock in that transformation. Let's delete the layer below. Yes to update. And look at that. So now everything is updated with just a few clicks of some smart colors, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and let me save this one. I'm going to update the colors here for 151 so that it matches these colors. So we can tell the difference between 150 and 151, obviously. There's a little something extra. All right, and I'm going to grab the yellow and the magenta. I think I like that. And then down here for the bullet points, let me go ahead and make that, I'll just make it yellow. For the color overlay, just grabbing yellow from somewhere. You see that exclamation point popped up? It's not commonly going to be able to be printed. It's not within the color gamut of what your printer can produce. All right, so I am good here. Let me save because I've been making some changes without saving. Okay, now before we get to moving things around, I'm going to explain why this is marked up the way that it is. Okay, so basically this is a 13 by 19 here on this sleeve, but it's the 13 by 19, just the background, right? Same thing here. Actually, this one is the left that we chose. Remember, we chose a left section and a right section. That's left. This is right. This is actually right, but it's in two different places. So the right was, you would turn this hoodie to the side and kind of get some of it on the hood, some of it on the shoulder, and, you know, kind of do a little something special there. Same thing here. And it's just abstract, right? I could choose to take this version here, and maybe I'll pull this one down a little bit. And what I need to, for this one, I need to take the area that fills in the inner part of the hoodie. Let me grab that. And I'm going to go to the main hoodie. The front fill, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that in with white. So let me get my brush here, grab my, nope, it's my black. But these aren't showing. Oh, I know what, I labeled this one differently. So let's take that off. We're going to redo this hoodie here. Boop. Oh, I still have pixels selected. Let me do Control D to deselect those pixels. And let's delete that whole group because we're actually going to make a copy of it from here. Okay, there we go. So let's change this hoodie right now. Let me just show you what's showing on here and what you can do. So this is just the inside of the hoodie. If you're going to go printing on the inside of the hoodie, this is just some way that you can mock it up. You also have the actual hood part that you could fill with a print or color if you want it just straight up color. So in this case, I'll choose, let me choose the pink here or the magenta. So maybe I want my hood magenta. I don't suggest you mock stuff up with solid colors. That is just my suggestion. However, the option is here if you want that option. Also, let's see here for the sleeves. I'll turn on just the color and we'll turn off the pattern. Let's make the sleeves be the cyan color. Okay, and I'm just doing this so that you get an understanding that you can block color stuff, but how you mock something up is not necessarily how it's going to produce. So that's why I use a lot of abstract designs, things that kind of have grunge to it, because it doesn't look so abrupt if the image is interrupted. Let's see, so the front fill, now I can actually fill the front with the print and then have solid colors there. However, this means that I will have to tile this to be solid. And the way that I'm trying to show you is how to give it a look without all the effort, okay? You can absolutely all over print anything you can imagine. It's just, are you going to be able to make it look seamless, and how much time is that going to take, and is it worth it? All right, so we can also fill it with the color. I'm going to make this one yellow. All right, so now I have my little block color areas. You kind of understand that you can add solid color, but the solid color is going to represent where that pattern is going to go if I want the pattern to even be there. So I'm actually going to design hoodie, this one and this one simultaneously, and show you that it can look totally different depending on what you actually print with this same setup. All right, so I'm going to alt click and drag to make a copy of this hoodie. All right, and then I'm going to show you how different they can look. All right, so let's do right click here. I'm going to turn off the color fill, and I'm going to let the hood stay white, and I'm going to make it look like the inside of here is printed. And you can absolutely print the inside of a hoodie. If it's all polyester, you just turn it inside out and just press the inside of the hoodie. It can actually make it look pretty cool. It's probably easier to press the inside of the hoodie than the outside of the hoodie, because you won't pay so much attention to any imperfections. All right, so let's go ahead and do the next section, which would be like this teal section. The sleeves, I'm going to put the full print here on the sleeves. And like I said, I'll be explaining to you from this what you're printing when you do the sleeves. You're basically going to print out 13" by, hopefully you have roll media, so you can do like a 13 by 28, or measure the length of your sleeve from the shoulder and give yourself about 3 inches of bleed area. And basically you're going to cut your print to where it fits precisely where the seam goes. And then you can make it look like it's block color. Okay. Now, just because I don't believe in tiling, if you did have a 13 by 19 and trying to get all of this, then I'm going to take the yellow area now. I'm going to turn off the yellow and let it just be white. Okay. Now I also have the option if I want to turn on just the bottom print. Let me find that. I think I need to bring the bottom to this one. Yep. I may have mistakenly deleted it. So there's my right, left. Yeah, let me add my bottom now. So the bottom we already have here. I'm going to alt click and drag it down to here. Let's turn it on. And then that way, if I want to, and I charge for all of these presses, because this is going to either be roll media, either it's going to be 13" roll media, or you're going to have to tile 2 13 by 19 prints together to get this. So make sure that you're charging accordingly. And it does look significantly, more covered up if you just put a little something across the bottom. But that's also more time, more energy, more ink. And I would even go as far as to say you could bring it up a little bit and get the most that you can out of that color. All right, so that's one hoodie. Cool, right? And because I made those little changes, anytime I make one simple change, I'm going to just reduplicate this because I don't want to make that change in 2 different places. All right, so here we go. Open that up. And now we're going to make this an alternate design. And how I'm going to describe this alternate design is I'm going to take off the sleeve fill. I'm going to turn that off. And then the hood fill, I'm going to turn that off because this would be, if you look at when I'm talking about the sleeve fill and the hood fill, you are actively staying within a certain parameter, which means you have to precisely cut your paper and make sure that your print does not move, because it's going to look like it's stopping at the seams. So the seams of the hood, the seams of the shoulder, of course, it's going to look like it bleeds off into the wristband and all of that. So you have to be a lot more precise with this method. All right, and like I said, next week we'll do a demonstration of this, so you'll see what I'm talking about in real time, real life. All right, so this one, let's take the hood inside off. This one is where we're going to be a little more artistic, a little more expressive. We'll keep the little bottom print down here because I think that's cool. But now let's go ahead and use those little, the art right and lefts. So there is my right, there's another right. Uh-oh, I'm moving the wrong piece. I'm just turning those on. That's my right, and then that's my left. So these are literally those 13 by 19 sections that we printed out, depending on how big your shirt is. 13 inches is going to pretty much cover your sleeve to sleeve, the edge to edge of your sleeve. But 13 by 19 is not going to cover the entire length of the sleeve, because the length of the sleeve is probably somewhere around 28 to 30 something inches, right? So you're going to use that 19 inches to just give some impact, give a splash of color. But you're not going to be so concerned about whether it's going to be precisely cut in at this corner. And I'm going to show you both methods, like physically show them to you. And I'm going to press them on a 16 by 20 press. And you're going to see where there are opportunities to mess up, because I guarantee you, whether it's on purpose or not, there's going to be some opportunities to mess up. All right, so this is just, it has a similar impact, it's just less effort. And if you mess up on this one, it looks artistic. It looks like, oh, a little bit of ink got right there, cool. But if you mess up on this one and you're trying to be so super neat, and then you happen to cut that, and let's say your cuts aren't smooth, like, you know, they got a little J.E. heartbreak, little jagged edge, nobody's gonna want to see that if it's supposed to look clean and pristine like it's sewn. But you can make it look like it's a cut and sew design by doing the first method. This one, you can just kind of go with your flow, and the mock-up doesn't even have to present as well as this one, okay? You just showing, hey, I'm gonna do something artistic. I'm gonna take a couple of 13 by 19 prints, and I'm just gonna randomly kind of rotate them and put them around. So I wanted to show you, you'll be able to do that for this one here. I can rotate this one and actually press more of this on the shoulder, let it go into the hood there. This is what I wanted to do. For the inside of the hood, I'm going to take the hood inside, create a little layer mask here. Control click there. And then I'm going to do a layer. I want to do a layer mask, but it's going to be the inverse. So I'm going to hide the selected instead of reveal. So let's hide the selected. What did I do? Oh, duh, I did that on the bottom, but that's fine because I really needed that to be at one of these at the top here. And I will alt click and drag that to all of these that are near close by the hood, because I don't want it to look like the ink got inside of the hood. I want the inside of the hood to stay clean looking. Okay, so let's count how many, basically how many 13 by 19s this would be if you weren't using roll media. Okay, inside of the hood is probably one 13 by 19 because you can kind of let it have the little grunge edge, do what it's doing. So that's one. Down here at the bottom hem, you're either going to use roll media or you're going to use two 13 by 19 sheets. So that's 3. Here you're going to use two 13 by 19 sheets as well. So now that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 prints for the first look. And that's just for the front, of course. For the back, you would be doing 6 more prints because you would do 1, 2, 3, 4, and at the bottom 5, 6. And you have the logo on the front. So that's a total of 14 13 by 19 sheets. So imagine you should be charging a lot for these hoodies, or you should be doing them cut and sew, or you should be outsourcing them, or you be a little more abstract with it, and then you let them decide, oh, how many presses do you want me to do? that's how we'll budget your hoodie. Okay, so this one still has 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it has 7 for the logo. So 7 on the front, but maybe on the back you just do across the bottom. 8, 9. So you know you can significantly reduce the amount of prints. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to put a print here at all. Let's see what that looks like if we just turn that off. Turn the eyeball off. And say, hey, if you're working with a $70 budget, what I can do for you is maybe I turn off this top stuff and I just put a print here and here. That would be a 13 by 19, 1, 2. For the backs of the sleeve, 3, 4. And the logo on the front. That's 5 locations, right? And the thing about it is, if you press this with the sleeves close to the side, some of the image from the side of the sleeve here will get onto the hoodie. Okay, so it'll kind of give it a little splash of color right there. So like I said, you let there, but don't you do everything for like a $50 budget. Don't dare do that. If they tell you that they want a $50 hoodie, you figure out how to make a $50 hoodie. And maybe that, for me, that's just one thing pressed in the middle of the shirt. And if that's the case, then you say, okay, well, you probably don't want that. You want that 13 by 19 right there. So let me go grab the 13 by 19, which in this case, right here, I'm gonna alt click and drag it down here. And now that 13 by 19, I turn it on, Control T so I can find it. And of course it's not that big, that's a jumbo print. I need to lock my aspect ratio. And a 13 by 19 print usually is actually kind of too big for a hoodie because it starts to print on the actual center pocket there. And let me turn my aspect ratio back on. I can lock that back. So you see how you have different combinations and ways that you can make this look. You're just imagining. That's the point of a mock-up too. You're imagining how you're going to be able to really bring to fruition your vision. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it back to what I thought was pretty cool. You know, if I may say so myself. Bring my logo back. So this is what I want y'all to practice on. For the left one, I want you to practice, doing more of the pristine, because I'm going to show you both processes. And then for this one, it's going to be usually less prints and or less effort. Okay, because I don't have to be precise with this at all. Wherever I put it is where it's going. All right. So that is it. Let me save, because I've been talking and not saving. And you all will get this mock-up, for class. So you'll already have this mock-up. And just I think for all the future classes, if I make a mock-up, then I'm going to give you my mock-up for free because I want you to put this out. Literally, I want this to be your cover image for Facebook. I want this to be on your website somewhere. I want you to showcase to people. I want you to go to Facebook Marketplace and say, instead of it saying Innate Academy 151 course, I want you to be able to say, hey, I can make custom shirts, mugs, license plates, etc. Okay. All right, so I'm saving. My mock-up is done. I can go ahead and take any questions anyone has right now, but I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded up on the website in the next 30 minutes. If you are a VIP member of the Academy, then you will see a coupon code. Make sure you use your coupon code to take the class for free, okay? If you are a $30 member, the standard member, then make sure you use your 67% off coupon code. Don't pay $60 for this class if you don't have to. You're a member. You have perks. There are great perks to being a member. If you've never taken a class and you don't want to assume membership, you just want to kind of test a class a la carte, then absolutely you can join live as long as you meet the requirements, which is have Photoshop and have the files downloaded. And in this case, we're not even bringing in a new image this time because we're working with the one from last time. So if you don't have that, then you're just going to use my image tonight, because the purpose is to learn this mock-up scheme and figure out how we can edit up one of these hoodies. Okay. Ah, the journal can double as a drawstring. Absolutely. You can interchange it. The whole point of this class is to teach you how, like I can take a mug now and bring a mug in and input that. If you had a drawstring bag or what they call the cinch bags or whatever, or a lunch box or whatever else you wanted to bring in, the point of this master mockup file is to get you to understand, okay, now I understand how I'm mocking up an image. Let me go ahead and bring my own blank into here. That's what we did in 151. We brought the journal in as a photo that was physically taken with us on on an iPhone in some very poor lighting. And then we mocked it up in this real template here. We mocked it up and created a template for it so that we would have something printable. All right. All right, so I'm saving. I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded. You all make sure that you get a little rest, get you something to eat, have your little chill time, have your tea ready or whatever, or your wine or whatever you need to sit down tonight at 8 o'clock so we can have a great class. It's not going to last longer than 2 hours. So I'm going to make sure that you get, big bang for your buck and that you're hitting the ground running with information and tools to create something even tonight if you wanted to. Okay. So I would love for you all to post when you do something in class. Go ahead and post it in the Innate Creatives Facebook group, so so I can be a proud, design mama bear. Okay, like it makes my day to see what you all are doing with this stuff. Okay. All right. Okay, love. So let me know if y'all want to see anything. I'm taking y'all's requests. Y'all be telling me about these hoodies, and we're going to be doing a baseball jersey that was requested. I think if I can make that next week, I'm not making a promise because that's going to take a little more work. But if I can pull that together, of course, we have our workshop, our live workshop in Chicago this weekend. So it's going to be a little bit of a, back and forth. This is my first time flying to do one. Usually I'm driving and bringing all my little stuff and, packed up and yeah. So this is going to be the first time I'm just flying without all of my, equipment and stuff. It's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a good experience because I will have things flow normally. I have support of our admin, Erica Kane. So we're going to be in her town and we're going to have some fun. If you are interested in joining that, you have to sign up. I think we still have a couple of seats, and literally, I mean a couple. You would have to sign up by tomorrow, and you don't have to be in the Chicago area. Literally, there are people flying into these from wherever they're coming from because they just want to learn. And we have one in Jacksonville every month. That's where my location is. And what I'm doing is each month I am making an active goal. I'm not going to say trying, I'm making an active goal to visit another city somewhere in the US so that we can fellowship, have a good time with learning and applying these methods, okay? Because some of us are more hands on, and I'm understanding that now. I don't sell the hoodie blanks. The demonstration that I'm going to be doing is a hoodie that I get from Samar. It's called Sport Tech is the brand. It's 100% polyester hoodie. So no, I don't have the blanks for those. All right, love. So let me head out. I cannot wait to see you, Darlene. Yes, I can't wait either. I just saw your comment. I was just saying I can't wait. Yes, Teresa, the baseball jersey will be fire. I have so many, like so many ideas, y'all. And it's like, I don't know why it takes so much energy to put one class out, but it does. Want y'all to know it does. And I appreciate you all for investing in the academy and investing your time and trusting your time and your education with me because I take it seriously. Okay. But yeah, every week I'm fighting myself to figure out, okay, well, what is it that we're going to put out this week? So let me know what it is that you really need. And the hoodies were a big request. Y'all wanted a master mockup file. This is what y'all told me now. So I want you to know I'm listening. Sometimes it might take several weeks for me to get to it with the lineup that we have already, but I am listening to what you need. Okay. Corey, yes. I thought I had that in the description of the video. I don't have that in the description of the video for the last one, the motorcycle cart. So yes, Erica, remind me to, or Corey in class tonight, remind me of that. And when we do our meeting afterwards for the business partners, I'll go ahead and share that with you all first, and then it'll make me go ahead and post it in the description as well. Okay. All right, loves. Well, let me rest my voice a little bit because this is going to be a long week and a long day, and I want to make sure that I have some energy for you all. I can't wait to show off the All Over Buddy in person in Chicago. Chicago, y'all get to be the first to see it in action. So, yeah, I'll be bringing one there, and we'll be having a little ball with it. Okay. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all dearly. And until next time, you know what it is. Bye.